All right, welcome back to another episode of the Base Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Billingsley, owner and founder of Base Sports Performance in Hernando, Mississippi. Today, we are here with head performance specialist Walker McCleney. Welcome to the show, brother.
What's up?
What's going on? So, for those of you that don't know, Walker and I actually met in South Florida. So, we were working at a gym in South Florida in West Palm Beach, and we were training under the New York Yankees strength coach, whose name is Eric Cressy. He owns a private facility down there. So we were down there learning from him for a couple weeks. And once we got there, we kind of realized that we had actually played against each other in college. So, Walker played baseball at Alabama at the same time, roughly, that I was playing at Mississippi State. I was a couple years ahead of him. But we kind of got down there and realized that, we were from similar areas. I'm from Mississippi. He's from Alabama, so we kind of stuck with each other once we got into the gym. But that is actually where we met, and then when I came back to Mississippi, we started out Base Sports Performance, and I think I got it was like 2 months in before I shot you a text and was like, hey dude, what's going on? So he ended up coming over. When did you begin? Was it May?
May 21.
May of 2021. So we're going on, just crossed the 2.5 year mark. We're going on 3 years here soon, of having you. So obviously, man, you've been a really big part of our growth so far and all of the athletes' successes around here. One thing that I know that we kind of briefly discussed prior was what we want to talk about. So just in these 2.5 years or so that I've seen, kind of just noticed you coaching in the gym, and obviously I get to coach alongside you. One thing that you are really, really good at is making a welcoming environment into the gym. So kind of having, some energy, creating some energy around the athletes. A lot of times they'll come in, a little tired from school, and you've always done a really good job of kind of getting them in the space to work and making it a fun environment. What would you say, how are you able to do that so well? What are some things that you use in our athletes?
Well, I just think that's just kind of how I've always been. I've always been, like, if I was playing or if I was with a team or whatever I was doing, I was always the energy guy. I was always just a people pleaser. I want to always be there for people, always want to help people kind of get to their full potential. And I'm just there to have fun with the kids. I just want the environment to be really good. Like, no one wants to go and work out in a gym that's kind of like just getting yelled at 24/7. Like, we see it all the time, like high school athletes, they'll come in like beat up from practice. They've been getting yelled at. They've been running poles. And that's just not kind of building the culture like I want to see when they come in. And just dealing with different people throughout my time, whether I'm playing or coaching at Cressy. Like, we saw a lot of professional athletes at Cressy. Like, they have a bunch of pro guys. And like, I always was coaching the professional athletes the same way I'm coaching a middle school athlete. Like, I'm not gonna just go up to whatever and I'm trying, like, if Austin comes in, I'm gonna coach Austin the same way I'm coaching our middle school athletes. Like, there's no kind of back and forth of, oh, I need to coach him different, I need to do that. So I've always just done that, just kind of building the energy around people and just making it fun. And that just starts with just getting to know the athletes and making sure, like, we're here to help them and help them train, but we're also here to make the environment good and make it fun for the athlete to be here. Because that's what's going to build consistency with it. And that's the same, like, going on to strength conditioning. Like, if you want to get better and you want to see results, the main goal is being consistent. And if we can get the kids consistently coming in and enjoying their experience in here, that's going to keep them kind of coming more and building that consistency up. And I just think that just the big thing is energy, keeping the energy high. And that goes from like music or whatever we're playing. Like, I'll have some athletes come up to me and be like, hey, let's play this song today. And I'll try to find that song for them and kind of make it a good environment for them. But I just think building that kind of environment for the kids is going to help get the results that we need. And like, we're here to make them better, but we're also here to make them better mentally and building confidence in them and getting them used to talking and laughing and hanging out with kids and kind of building that communication aspect of stuff instead of just excluding a kid by itself in the corner. Like go up, say, hey, make sure the energy is high with that kid. And different kids respond to different stuff. I think like a bunch, like we'll see it all the time. Like the kids that are really good to talk to, really fun, bring a lot of energy. Yeah, like you can have fun with them, you mess around with them, but you can also see like the girls that come in here for like the first couple weeks, they're kind of scared, they're kind of timid, they don't have a lot of confidence. They're like, I've never touched a weight before, I don't want to get bulky, I don't want to put on weight, all this stuff. But the more they come in, the more you kind of figure out what they respond to and how to open them up. The more they get out of that shell and they start having fun, they start smiling, they start asking you how your day went instead of the other way around. So I think just dealing with all types of athletes kind of helped me get to how I am, and that's just how I've always been. I don't really change anything.
Yeah, you mentioned probably the biggest thing that I took from that I want to highlight that I think is really important for our athletes and our athletes' parents both, to hear is consistency equals results, right? So, a lot of times in our staff meetings, we'll talk about, being able to, train these guys and girls with minimum effective dose. Really all that means is, we're here to train them to perform at their sport. We're not trying to, just work out and work out and work out. So we're trying to hit the minimum, effective dose. We're trying to hit the minimum amount of reps, the minimum amount of exercises that we need, in order to get results. But what you said was consistency equals results. And what I'm hearing and what I want to highlight is, coming and training really, really hard for one day a week, is not as consistent as we'd like to see, but that's better than coming every other week, right? Coming twice a week, every week for, 2 months is great. But coming twice a week for, 2 years is better, right? Because we're going to see results. And, the word consistency, in my experience has been a really, really big, really big thing just for getting results and success in general. So, just coming and training, even if you're sore, even if you're hurt, we can still get, some work in, and we can still get things going around, what's happening. So, that's kind of one thing that I heard from you that I wanted to highlight was consistency of training, consistency of coming to the gym equals results. And I think, you do a really good job of being that consistent, personality in a lot of our athletes' lives. When they come to base, they know what walker they're going to get. It's not, coming and having one walker is super excited one day and then one walker is, quiet and not helping as much the next day. You've been consistent, as a coach. And, I know that you know this, but that's kind of one thing that is really, really valuable about you is the consistency that you bring to the gym every day. Because again, that's what those athletes need. They need to be able to see, consistency in their training and consistency in their lives. Another thing that you mentioned was, different personality types. You kind of have to coach different ways. Yeah. You briefly started talking about maybe some females or maybe just, some younger males in general. What are some things that, you kind of use from maybe like a shy athlete or, someone that's maybe not as excited or, pumped to get in the gym? What's some things that you use for those types of athletes versus like the ones that you kind of have to hold back a little bit from coming too often?
Yeah. Obviously the big thing is I just want to try to find what kind of gets them going. Like some kids, like there's always those kids that come in that are kind of a little timid, a little scared, but you can always kind of figure out what makes them, like what do they want to get out of it, like why did they choose to come in the first place type stuff. And most of the kids, they want to come and get better at whatever sport they play, whether that's volleyball, whether that's softball, whether that's baseball. Like they just want to get better at their sport. And so like I just kind of talk about random baseball stuff, or I'll mention who's your favorite baseball player, and just trying to get them to open up, or what kind of music do you listen to, or just like ask super simple questions that kind of I can get a baseline of what they like. And then as I go with that, I kind of run with it. Everything's just kind of on the fly. I really just, and that goes back to my personality. Like I've always been able to talk to anybody. I can talk to a brick wall if I need to and have fun, but just finding out what kind of triggers that athlete and make them feel like, yes, they're in a gym where there's a lot of people, but make them feel special. Make them feel like they, when they come in, like they're going to I'm going to come up to them and ask how their day is. I'm going to go out of my way to make sure that she or he is comfortable in the weight room, doing the right stuff. And that things too, like I always put myself in like the parent's shoes. And if I'm sending my daughter, I'm sending my kid or my son to train, I want to make sure that I trust that coach and that coach has my best interest, and my daughter or my son is getting the most from a physical standpoint, but also at a mental side of stuff. So, and that goes back to talking and like making sure like the communication and all that stuff, just kind of building that friendship and building that relationship up with all the athletes we come in contact, not making them feel like just another number, because we get tons of athletes coming here from all ages. So making them feel kind of special each time they come in here, and getting them just kind of building that relationship up will kind of take care of themselves. And it goes the same way, like the more consistent you show up in your training, the more you'll get physically out of it, but also the more consistently you show up and you have to ask questions, you have to answer questions. If I'm going to talk to you, I'm not going to say nothing to you. So you're going to have to say something back. You're going to have to talk. You're going to have to communicate, and that just kind of builds that social aspect of it. Just kind of build that relationship. So I think just trying to find what that athlete responds to well. Like some athletes want to talk about football on the weekend. Who's their favorite football team? They want to talk about college football, NFL, whatever it is. Just find those things that trigger that athlete to open up a little bit and then run with it. That's the biggest thing I could take away from it.
So I know one thing that we've kind of mentioned, in our staff meetings, whenever we're kind of talking about, this idea of creating, a good atmosphere in the gym and creating, a fun place to be, is obviously, again, the majority of who we're training, is middle school, high school, collegiate athletes. Obviously, we have a professional and an adult group as well. But for the most part, we've kind of got youth, right? So we've got middle school and high school is probably what we see the most. Obviously, when we travel to, the local high schools or when they travel to us, that's obviously who we're seeing. And one thing that we kind of talked about a few times is the idea of, teaching these athletes to enjoy training and enjoy working for something, right? So, I think kind of what you briefly touched on earlier was, a lot of times, athletes unfortunately might learn how to train or, kind of quote unquote work out from a coach or, someone that may or may not be doing it in their best interest or, with the best direction in mind. And I think that's kind of one thing that you've kind of brought, more of here at base is making sure that we're, teaching these athletes to enjoy training, teaching these athletes to enjoy, living a healthy lifestyle and make it fun and enjoying, right? So, that atmosphere here in the gym makes these athletes excited, to come back in their next training session. And on top of that, we're teaching them to work for something, right? It's not, it's not something that is just given, we're encouraging them to work hard. We're encouraging them to train and, set a goal and, try to achieve that goal. Right. So that's just one thing, that I've seen and heard from you several times, just making sure that we're setting these athletes up for success, in their own lifestyles and in their own health beyond training.
Yeah.
So kind of moving to the next thing, you briefly mentioned this one earlier, but you do a really good job in each group, of kind of creating like a touch point with each athlete. And what I mean by that is, you do a good job of going around the room and asking everybody how their day went, asking everybody how practice went, things like that. Why is that important to you? And how does that help you with, the gym atmosphere going from each person and talking to them in each group?
Yeah, it just goes back like when I was playing, like if I had a bad day at practice or I had something that went on, I really kind of just I've always, I need somebody to talk to, if I need somebody to be there. So like just kind of looking at myself as like being that guy that's always going to be there for whoever comes in the gym. Whether it's one of our football guys or a baseball guy or whoever comes to the gym, he had a bad day at school or she had a bad day at school, like she can come and kind of open up to me, talk to me about it, make her feel comfortable or him feel comfortable to let me know how their day went, and make their day a little bit better. Because just going into the gym, like, yeah, it's going to, just building that social and that relationship up is going to help the athlete kind of gain trust with you. And I just think like every day, that's one of the first things I'll ask all of our athletes is, hey, how'd your day go? And most of the time they're saying good, they're having a good day or whatever. But you'll see some of them come in, they're kind of like down a little bit or something happened at school, and you make them laugh one time or you do something that's funny or you say something that gets them going, they kind of forget about what they did at school. And it's kind of like, okay, like I had a bad day at school, but Walker's making me laugh, making it fun. So all that bad stuff that happened during the day kind of goes away. And that's the thing, like, yeah, stuff's going to happen. You're going to have bad days, you're going to have good days, but being consistent with showing up and doing stuff the right way and having fun in the weight room when you're in here, that's it kind of opens them up. So like, yeah, they're going to have bad days at school, but they can always kind of rely on base to have good energy. I'm going to get to see Coach Walker today. I'm going to see Coach Bryce today, or whoever the coach is. Like, gets them something to look forward to, and it kind of just builds the relationship up. Because I know I see athletes all the time outside the gym, and if I see them outside of the gym, if I'm at the grocery store or something, this happened a couple weeks ago actually. Bella came up running behind my cart, almost knocked me over. But like if I see one of our athletes or see somebody outside the gym, they're always going to come up to me and ask and talk to me, because that's kind of the relationship I want. If you do see me outside of the gym, always come up and say hey or what's up, because yes, I'm your coach, but I'm also there to kind of mentor you and kind of lead you to the level that you want to be at. And most of the people that we come in contact with, especially our athletes, like most of the athletes that we come in contact with, they want to go to play in the next level. And we both have trained to the next level. We've seen what the next level is, especially from a performance side of stuff. You're working out on a consistent basis if you go to a 4-year college, you're working out there for 4 years. You're putting in a lot of work, you're putting a lot of effort. And if the kids can enjoy training, they're going to do it more. And the kids that do not like training, the kids that dread waking up at 6 a.m. in college, going to work out, like those are the kids that are going to be like kind of left in the dust. But if we can get the kids to enjoy training, they're going to do it longer. And so it kind of prepares them to see what they're going to get at the next level. If they make it to the next level, they're going to have like a little baseline of what to expect. And I think that's the whole reason we do what we do, is to get them ready to see what they're going to go into when they do make it to the next level. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And kind of how you mentioned the large majority, of the athletes that we train are going to have, an opportunity to play at that next level. And, by them getting, a good taste of how training goes and getting, confident in the weight room and confident moving and, getting some experience under their belt from a training standpoint, that's setting them up, to be a little bit further ahead than, their peers once they do step on that college campus. And obviously that's super valuable, being able to kind of already be a couple steps ahead, once you step, on that next phase of your life. Yeah, we covered some pretty good stuff, man. Is there anything else that you want to leave to, some of our athletes that are listening or to any of our athletes' parents?
No, just the big thing is like our goal is to build a culture here. And yeah, we've been here for 3 years. So yes, and I think we've done a very good job of building the environment that we want. But it also takes the athletes and the parents to understand like what to expect when they come in. Like the athletes do a very good job of making sure like no one athlete is excluded from anything. That's why we have a big weight room. We group everybody up, and it builds like that relationship with not just the coaches, but everyone that's in that group, and not excluding one person. Like everybody's a part of the base family, I guess you could say. But like that's from a parent standpoint, making the parents feel comfortable. If the parents want to watch their kid, if it's their first day, yeah, you come watch the kid for a little bit, see what they're doing, kind of give them a visual of what kind of goes down when we're coaching. And then same thing with the athletes, like holding the athletes kind of to a higher standard when they're in here. And yeah, like we just want to build good people, like not like being just good humans. You got to go up to somebody, give them knucks, say what's up, because you just you never know whose day you're going to impact. And I kind of just look at it from like a bird's eye view of if I had a bad day, would I want to come in here and just mope around and kind of just go through the motions, or would I want to forget about it and focus on my training and have fun and enjoy where I'm at. So I think it's from a coaching standpoint, just building that environment and that culture with the parents and the athletes as well to kind of know what to expect when they get into the gym.
That's awesome. So just a quick recap, I think kind of the big things that we covered and the big things that we kept coming back to is just making, an atmosphere where we are setting these athletes up to succeed, right? So, we are creating a relationship with them, and we are obviously making this feel like their second home, so we're trying everything, that we can do to, get these athletes in a spot where they're making relationships and they're, creating relationships with other athletes at other schools and, other adults and other coaches, and they're learning training techniques, and, they're kind of being, guided into a direction to where, they have to learn to communicate as well, so, everything that we do, and kind of a lot of the big things that you have obviously helped, build and make this thing roll is that, our athletes like training. They like coming to us. They like, what happens and how they feel when they come in. So, I think that's a really, really big part in setting these athletes up, for success in the long term. So, man, thanks for coming on today, and thanks for, everything that you do at Base, man. We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, guys. So if you have any questions at all, anything it is that, you might want to learn more about, feel free to reach out to us. Our website is basesportsperformance.com. Our contact information is on there as well. Thanks for listening.